So you became a CEO for Justin.tv very, very young. And I mean, when I hear CEO, I have a whole bunch of expectations about what it's like to be in that kind of role. And what was it like? Like, did it meet what you were thinking it was going to be? Was it different?
To me, there's this kind of Hollywood aspect of being a CEO is like you call the shots. Like you call the shots. And what I learned was that instinct is incorrect. I think there were two kind of solid things that I've learned. One is that companies have a relatively small amount of time where they're making decisions and a relatively large amount of time where they're executing. And that means that if you're being disruptive, if you're kind of putting the company in decision-making mode when it really should be in execution mode, you're making the company unproductive. And as CEO, you have a unique ability to make the company unproductive. You have a unique ability to be disruptive, to call a meeting, to pause people working. And I think the thing that I had to learn is that building a product, like writing software, requires long periods of uninterrupted focus. And therefore, I can't just open my mouth and say whatever is on my mind. Hey, let's talk about this. Like, let's change this. Let's do this. I need to set aside a really large period of time for execution. The second thing that I realized was that when we're in decision-making time, oftentimes it's far more motivational for people to work on their own ideas. So oftentimes, as a CEO, your responsibility is to help whatever group you're working with, figure out what the best ideas are and make sure they're being done. It's not your responsibility to have the best ideas. I think that was the thing that I learned. And even more so, you want to give away wins. So if you have an idea, but someone else has it, you don't have to say your thing. Let them win, right? Like as CEO, you have this amazing ability to give away wins. And by doing that, people get more motivated. On the flip side, sometimes, very rarely, you have to play what I call the CEO card. You have to make an overriding decision. Either there's a tie and there's a dispute, or actually there's consensus one way, but you think it's the other way. And your ability to play the CEO card comes from how rarely you play it and what happens when you do. And I think people think that they get a deck of 52 CEO cards and they can just play them left and right. I think in reality, you probably get 2 or 3 CEO cards up front. And if they're not played well, your peers, your co-founding group, your kind of young company starts thinking, they're not a real good CEO. And you kind of run out of them. And when you deliver wins, you get part of a CEO card. When you play a CEO card and it does well, you get it back. But I don't think any CEO holds more than 3 or 4 CEO cards. I don't think any CEO can make more than 3 or 4 really disruptive decisions that are wrong, and they get more. Either because they get fired or because the people around them lose faith. Yeah. So I realized that being a CEO is far more about organizing people and making sure that they're productive and they get things done, and far less about telling them what to do. And I think that's not spoken about. I think that's not as sexy. I think it's a lot easier to kind of look at the hero CEOs and assume that they decided all the good things that their companies did. But being on the inside, that's almost universally not true.